Friends, today we are drawing the one and only Ken Masters of Street Fighter, who has been a long evolving character throughout the history of Street Fighter, from games to movies to manga. But guys, before we get started, I just want to say thank you for your time, thank you for your attention. I appreciate you coming by, and if you're new here, you know what to do. So in this video, we are going to talk about his origins, his history, his character evolution, and a little bit about the inspiration for the character. Ken Masters was created by Takashi Nishiyama and Hiroshi Matsumoto, the original developers of Street Fighter in 1987. They sought out to create a roster of unique characters that would engage players. And for the two main characters, they developed Ken and Ryu. And they wanted a real contrast in characters. And obviously they were tapping into the 1980s love for the classic Bruce Lee versus Chuck Norris fight in Way of the Dragon. And they wanted that high energy, charismatic, larger than life persona. And what they put together was Ken, with his flashy red gi and his flamboyant hair and his over-the-top cocky attitude. The developers wanted to bring in the American audience, and he was designed deliberately to be in contrast of Ryu. While Ryu's fighting style is much more disciplined, focused, Ken is all about the fight in a phone booth, up close and personal, aggressive, fast, always on the offense. But I'm getting a little bit ahead of myself. So Ken Masters grows up in the lap of luxury. You see, his father is a very wealthy business entrepreneur in Japan, and his mother happens to be half American and half Japanese. But growing up, he was extremely undisciplined, was always getting into trouble. He would even start dyeing his hair blonde, just in a kind of a way to do a silent protest or just be more rebellious. But also had a fascination and love for martial arts. And it was this that inspired his father to enroll him in training with Master Goken. Now, Goken is a renowned martial artist and doesn't take just any student. And in fact, really didn't want to take Ken. But because Goken had a friendship with Ken's father, he accepted Ken as a student. And there was no love lost there. Ken genuinely did not want to train under Goken. But in time, he would accept him and really think of him more of a father than his actual father. Now, Master Goken just happened to be training another gifted fighter by the name of Ryu. And the two would cement a foundation of brotherhood and rivalry throughout the franchise of the game. They would both grow up together, learning from Goken and training in the fictional karate style and Satsuken, which really just translates to assassin's fist, meaning it's a discipline that has one goal, and that's to kill your opponent. Yeah, a little bit over the top, but you gotta love it. In the original Street Fighter 1, the two characters were virtually indistinguishable in literally every way. But it wasn't until Street Fighter 2 where the differences between Ken and Ryu were more defined and ironed out. Now, Ken would stay with Goken and train until mastering the Ansatsuken fighting system. Well, then he would travel back to the US and compete in dozens of karate tournaments and win them all. But it was also in America where he found the love of his life, Eliza. Now, Eliza would constantly appear throughout the story, and the two would go on to have a family. And you would think that getting married and starting a family would slow him down. But Ken is the consummate practitioner. And what's the old saying? Behind every good man is a great woman. Well, that rings true here, because Eliza is supportive no matter what. Yes, there have been a little bit of ups and downs, but that's true in any relationship. Now, while he's in America, he gets word about the World Warrior Championship, and this just doubles his fighting spirit. You see, for Ken, there's no rest until he shows the world that he is the best martial artist. Now, while in the tournament, he's exposed to Psycho Power. And this is M. Bison's kind of mystical fighting style and power that he's able to channel into. And he uses it to take over Ken's mind, completely brainwashing him and using him as a puppet. And if you want to learn a little more about M. Bison, feel free to check the link in the description. Okay, so I'm not a fan of how Ken was transformed into Evil Ken, but I have to be honest. Probably my favorite version of Ken is Evil Ken, or also known as Violent Ken. While under the control of M. Bison, Violent Ken is faster, infinitely more aggressive, and has no remorse. But he is the definition of a glass cannon. While being extremely powerful, the Psycho Power expends a ton of energy and is very taxing on the body. So if he can't finish you quick, chances are you have pretty good odds at beating him. But there are very few fighters who could make it through that onslaught. In the Violent Ken form, he obliterates several opponents. In the end, it's his friendship with Ryu who's able to beat Sense back into his old friend and pull him out of M. Bison's mind control. Now, Ken has gone on to be such a fan favorite with his cocky and immature style. But really, most of that is a facade, because underneath, when you really understand the character, he is giving, open-hearted, and is the definition of sportsmanlike conduct. Now, my favorite move of all time, and a move that Ken excels at, that is, in my opinion, the defining move, is his dragon uppercut. I mean, yes, it is not as powerful as Ryu's, but it is so much faster, it has a better frame rate, and always takes priority in the game. And it just looks awesome, lighting your opponents on fire. As mentioned, Ken has gone on to be in dozens of video games, movies, manga, as well as comics and graphic novels, cementing him as one of the best Street Fighter characters of all time. Friends, thank you so much for your time and attention. I truly appreciate your support. Now, if you would, please scroll on down to the comment section. Let me know how I'm doing and what type of characters you want to see drawn next, and I will talk to you again soon.